We've heard a lot of condemnation of this, Ben Ferguson, including from one of our own MPs who yesterday morning, Nadhim Zahawi, thought that this was going to prevent him visiting his sons in the United States. If it makes the situation really tough, emotionally, physically, for people to come back to the United States, to visit the United States, is one thing. If it actually exacerbates the war on terror, that is a self-defeating policy, isn't it?
Look, I think if you take that logic, then explain to me why 9/11 happened. America wasn't having any travel bans. We weren't in Iraq. We weren't in Afghanistan. We weren't even at war with really Al-Qaeda at that point. And they found a reason to do a heinous attack on this country. They have done these attacks around the world. Look at Germany, for example.
If you're going to mention 9/11, and obviously that is the terror attack that sticks in people's minds, how come none of the countries from which the 9/11 attackers were from are on the banned list?
Great question. It's because they actually trained in the countries that are on the ban list. If you look at where the terrorists come from, originate from, it's not necessarily the country of origin. It's the country which allows and harbors the training of terrorists and the recruiting of terrorists to their nations. The 7 countries that are on this list, let's be clear, that list was created by President Barack Obama and the Department of Homeland Security in 2015. This is not Donald Trump's list. This list came from the Department of Homeland Security under President Obama. So this list has been around for quite some time, for 2+ years.
So Ben, let me put this to you. You know, because I think Trump's had an extraordinary start to his presidency, 10 days in which he's done a flurry of executive orders, some of which I think are pretty good. But this is the one that's got the entire world aghast. And I think some of the reasons are this. You know, I read a column yesterday criticising him because of 2 main things. One, how can you have people with legitimate, perfectly legal, up-to-date green card, permanent residency? How can they be dragged away in handcuffs at airports as was happening, detained and threatened with deportation? And secondly, America is a country of immigrants, right? It's founded on the principle of accepting people from around the world. The Syrian war, for example, is a direct result of the Iraq war, which many people feel was illegal, unethical, completely wrong, going after the wrong guy for what happened on 9/11. Regardless of that debate, you can see a path from the Iraq war to the Syrian war. These people in Syria are utterly desperate. And yet America has turned around and said, no more refugees indefinitely from Syria. How does that sit with the Statue of Liberty? How does that sit with what America stands for?
I think America also has the ability and the opportunity to protect the citizens that are in this country and also those that have come from around the world. And we've also made it clear that green cards from these countries, if you have a current green card, you are allowed into this country. There was 325,000 foreigners that came into America yesterday, and just barely 100 and a couple were stopped at the airport, and the mass majority of those have already been let go. So this hysteria over this, I think we need to dial it back a little bit and realize that the system worked pretty well yesterday. And let's not forget, this is not the first time that America has done this. Back in 2009, you had President Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton that put a 6-month ban on those refugees coming in from Iraq.
Okay.
That's twice as long as what Donald Trump just did. And you didn't see these protests at the airport. You didn't see people around the world reacting. Many people are reacting this way, not because they're so upset about what just happened, because if they were, they would have done it when Obama did it for 6 months. They're upset because it's Donald Trump and they don't like Donald Trump.
Ben,
Trump has 7 countries for 90 days. That is not that crazy of an idea.